How many Bitcoin should one hold? Well, that's a good question. And I'm going to sort of change the question a little bit. How much Bitcoin do you believe? How much Bitcoin do I believe is required for you to be a millionaire in the next few years? I would say 1/4 of a Bitcoin. 1/4 of a Bitcoin. If you can make that your first goal, 1/4. Better 1/3, but 1/4 will do. So 1/4 of a Bitcoin. Take the price of Bitcoin today, divide it by 4, and that's what you need to get 1/4 of a Bitcoin. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it week by week or month by month or whatever, or whenever you have extra fiat that you don't want, that you don't need. Convert that into Bitcoin. But your first goal should be to get roughly 1/4 to 1/3 of a Bitcoin. Now, I have projections on Bitcoin by 2031. I believe we're north of a $10 million Bitcoin. I know that may sound crazy to you right now, but that's actually conservative numbers. That's taking Bitcoin's historical annualized CAGR, which is its annualized cumulative gain, annualized, right? It's taking half of that. It's taking half of what Bitcoin has done, right? Historically, year by year, and projecting that out into the future. And that gets us north of a $10 million Bitcoin. All right. And so think of a $10 million Bitcoin and you own 1/4 of one Bitcoin. So what's 1/4, right, of $10 million? All right. You're a multimillionaire. All right. So your first goal should be to get 1/4 of a Bitcoin. But I also believe that you should not stop there. This is not an asset where you stop accumulating. You don't stop accumulating something that is programmed to go up over time forever. And I'm telling you that Bitcoin is going to go up forever. It will have its periods of down, of course, but basically every 4 years, it's going to be exponentially higher every single 4 years. You got to look at Bitcoin like that. You got to look at it in 4-year tranches, right? Because it operates off of a 4-year cycle. So every 4 years, you're exponentially higher. All right. You're decently higher. All right. So inside of that 4 years, you can be up and down, but 4 years to 4 years, higher. 4 years to 4 years, really higher. 4 years to 4 years, higher. All right. And people think that's strange when I say, Oliver, come on, it's going to go up forever. But that's what solid assets do. So think about this. Gold's been going up for 4,000 years, forever. All right. Silver's been going up for 9,000 years. Okay. The bond market's been going up for 300 years, right? Sovereign debt market's been going up for 300 years. The U.S. equity market's been going up for 150 years. Depends on where you start. I started from when the guys in their top hats were doing business under the button tree, or whatever they call that tree, on Wall Street. But think of that, guys. Equity markets have been going up for 150 years. Okay. Microsoft's been going up for almost 50 years. Apple's been going up for 45 years. Think of it. Amazon's been going up for 25 years. Google's been going up for 24 years. And Bitcoin's been going up for 13 years. It's a baby. So for the rest of your life, this thing's going to be going up. And it's 1,000 times better than every single thing else that I've mentioned to you. So that limit, that $21 million limit, and the fact that only 4,000, there's only 4 out of the 21 million, there's only 4 million Bitcoin that determines the price, because the rest is tightly held. When I buy Bitcoin, it will never see the light of day. Do you understand? Never. It will never be available. And I'm not the only one who does that. This asset is more tightly held than any other asset on planet Earth. And one day it just won't be available. One day people are going to realize this is not something that you sell. Like, why would you sell the most valuable asset in the world? For what? What would you sell down to? Why would you sell something that goes up forever for something that goes down? Why would you sell something that's the best for something inferior? No one's going to sell this in the future. The only way you're going to be able to get it is to work for it. But you'll be working for the dust. See, back in the old gold days, guys, people held their wealth in gold bullion. They held it in gold bricks, right? But they didn't walk around with their gold, their true wealth, which would be stacked in a vault somewhere. But they would walk around with two leather pouches. One leather pouch had nuggets. So little small gold nuggets to make some decent purchases. Okay. I want to buy a horse. I want this calf. I want a new suit. And then they would have another pouch, which was gold dust. All right. Little leather pouch with gold dust for very small micro payments. And so you had these three forms of gold. The gold in your vault was your family wealth. The pouch with the nuggets were for decent sized purchases, and the pouch with the dust was for micro purchases. And so I believe that Bitcoin is going to be like that. Satoshis are going to be the dust. You can earn Satoshis, you can work for them. But to buy bricks of Bitcoin in the future, it's not going to be available because I'm not selling it. I'm not the only one that's not going to sell it. The number of individuals that come into this space and start grabbing Bitcoin now that will not sell it in the future is only increasing every single day. As this becomes more valuable, it becomes something that you don't want to sell more. As more products come online that give you the ability to borrow against this extremely rare asset so that you don't have to sell it, the more people are not going to sell it. All right. There are 300 banks coming online in the next several weeks that are going to onboard all of their clients on Bitcoin. And the banks want to get involved to be able to provide services and products based on Bitcoin. So guys, look, I am telling you now, you grab this rare piece of land while you can, because it's going to run away from you, so that when you try to buy it in the future, it's going to be so hard because the price is going to be so high. That's number one. It's going to run away from you. Number two, it's not going to be available at some point in the future. And people people don't believe me, but I'm going to tell you, I believe. I'm going to say, I told you so. And I'm not talking 100 years out. I'm not talking 100 years out. I'm talking less than 10 years out. You're just not going to be able to get this. Think of this. Manhattan real estate. There are penthouses that are valued at $150 million. I just saw a penthouse in New York City for sale for $145 million. Think about that. A penthouse, an apartment, $145 million. Now check this out. If one apartment in that building is valued at $145 million, then how much is the entire building worth? It's got to be way more, right? Yes. Then if the building is worth way more than a single apartment in the building, then what's the freaking ground that the building is on worth? Exponentially more than all of it. So when's the last time you've heard of Manhattan ground for sale? Never. Never, ever, ever. Do you understand? You'll have apartments for sale. You'll have buildings that those apartments are in for sale. But that land is never for sale. You understand? So this Bitcoin is like Manhattan real estate, Manhattan land, right? They're going to be buy and sell the companies that plug themselves into this network to your heart's desire. Buy and sell the businesses that are somehow offering some products that are based on Bitcoin or whatever. That's like buying and selling the apartment buildings, the apartments, buying and selling the buildings, the companies. But don't sell the land. Don't sell the network. Don't sell the protocol. Imagine if we had the ability to buy the internet. I mean, the internet helped create trillion-dollar assets. Google, trillion-dollar asset. Apple, trillion-dollar asset. Do you understand? Amazon, trillion-dollar asset. But without the internet, they wouldn't be trillion-dollar assets. So if they're trillion-dollar assets and they're on top of the internet, how much is the internet worth? My God. But we weren't given the ability to own the protocol, to own the land, to own the asset that made these trillion-dollar assets. But today we do. Bitcoin's the internet of money. And if the value of the internet of information is so high, imagine the value of the internet of money. How much more important, how much more valuable is the internet of money over the internet that controls your photos or your information? You understand? Your books. It's tremendously more. And so don't miss this opportunity to grab chunks of this protocol, guys. This is it. We've never had anything like this. So grab it while you can before it runs away from you in price and before it stops being available. Because every little piece of Bitcoin that I buy, it will never see the light of day, ever, ever. It will never be available to you, ever, ever. And I promise you that.